Catiline was an aristocrat who originally hated the populares, then came to hate the Optimates. He switched sides and became a champion of the people, which horrified the Optimates. He was as despised as the Gracchi had been by them. It's amazing how few of the elites come over to the side of the people. Or is it the least surprising thing ever? The members of the elites love their nepotism and cronyism, their privilege and inheritance, their safe, gilded, oh so comfortable lives. Why would they jeopardize any of that? They don't want to escape from their gilded cage. But Catiline was a man of nobility and honor who genuinely loathed how corrupt and decadent the elites had become, exactly as they have in today's world. These elites are loathsome. They are truly disgusting human beings. In Rome, the tribunes of the people were there to check the power of the elites. But isn't that odd? The question is, why is it always the elites in charge? Why aren't the people in charge by default? Why aren't they the natural rulers? Why are they seemingly naturally subservient? It's one of the oddest human phenomena that only a tiny number of people are capable of ruling, and they invariably form themselves into an elite. And then they set about serving their own interests, and not those of the people, who are treated as second-class citizens. This is how all right-wing worldviews are born, a deserving elite ruling over and exploiting the masses. Arnold Toynbee called this elite the creative minority, but he warned that their descendants would turn into an oppressive dominant minority, who used the privileges and laws established by their ancestors to maintain their power, despite no longer having any discernible talents. They become a malevolent rather than benevolent dictatorship. The ideal is a creative minority that prevents itself from ever degenerating into a dominant minority. How can it achieve that? By eliminating privilege, nepotism, cronyism and privilege, and ensuring a system of equal opportunities and meritocracy. The creative minority needs to remain creative on behalf of the people, and not of itself. It needs to acknowledge that its own descendants won't be the creative minority. The creative minority needs to be renewed and replenished from the people, not from its own offspring. This seems to be the insurmountable problem, getting ruling minorities to not keep favoring their own families over the people. Laws must be established to prevent this favoritism. As it is, all right-wingers deliberately introduce laws to reinforce, amplify and perpetuate this favoritism. Left-wingers are those who want to smash this favoritism and always privilege the people over the elites and their families. This, historically, is the hardest thing to accomplish. In fact, it has never been achieved. Plato attempted to devise a system where the power of the nepotistic family would be eliminated. No nation ever implemented his ideas. That shows you how deeply entrenched this problem is, the defining problem of how to govern human societies. As soon as a system becomes dynastic, it is hostile to the interests of the people. Its primary motivation is to help the ruling dynasties, not those they rule over. How do we create a new left-wing movement for today's world? We can look to the systems of the Romans and Greeks and adapt them accordingly. We can look to the Jacobins of the French Revolution. And we can even look to some unsavory places such as fascism, given that it was modeled on Roman ideas. Is it possible to create a benevolent fascism, led by the people, to serve the interests of the people? One thing we have often discussed is how to create a left-wing movement that would appeal to a brilliant thinker who was not at all left-wing, namely Nietzsche. Nietzsche, for a time, was regarded as the prime philosopher of Nazism. Can we devise a Nietzschean left, devoted to excellence, glory, and the highest ambitions of humanity? Why not? Such a movement would be unstoppable. It would crush the elites, because it would be infinitely superior to the elites. Let's have a left that honors Lycurgus of Sparta, Pericles of Athens, Pythagoras, Plato and Aristotle of Greek politics and philosophy, the Gracchi of Rome, Marius of the plebs, Spartacus of the gladiators, Catiline of the patricians, Jean-Jacques Rousseau and the Jacobins of the French Revolution, and Nietzsche. This is our roll of honor. Many other names can and must be added, of course, but here we have a basic list showing the types that we admire, and whose example we seek to emulate and surpass.